I don't have a lot of experience with Cold Steel products. The only ones I have so far are the Cold Steel Trail Hawk, which is a tomahawk, and the Trail Boss, which is an axe. I did have a list of complaints about them right out of the box, and I needed to fix them up a little to get them to where I wanted them. But given that I enjoy playing with my tools and I like problem solving, I had a lot of fun getting them to where I wanted them. So the issues with the tomahawk were that the handle had varnish on it, but that's easy to scrape off. And the head wasn't secured very well. It was secured, you can see this hole and this hole. There was just this tiny little screw. You know, this was further down and it's screwed in there, but the head was like super wobbly, right? You know, and that was the only thing holding it on, basically. So all I had to do was take the screw out, take the head off, scrape varnish off, make sure there's a nice smooth transition up here, and that's what allows the head to stay on, right? It's just a bit of friction and it's pushed up further up the handle here. And now it stays on fine, and if I want to take it off for whatever reason, I can. I just have to hit it on something and the head comes off. So I'm happy with this. I've thrown it a fair bit, and that's why the handle's kind of mangled in spots, but that's just because I'm really bad at throwing, and it is pretty fun to throw because of how lightweight it is. I've also cut down a tree with it that was probably way too big for this little tomahawk, but I did it anyways, and it held up great. And I've also done a little bit of carving. So I am happy with this. I think maybe I'll cut the handle a little shorter to make it more portable, but I haven't decided yet. The thing is, this was only $45 Canadian, and I got to spend a couple hours just, you know, scraping varnish off the handle, putting some oil on it instead, and just getting this to fit nicely. So it was just a nice little project. Oh yeah, and I had to like sharpen it a little bit, but nice and easy. I thought it was pretty fun. Now for the Trail Boss. The Trail Boss was closer to $60 Canadian, and it had a similar issue to the Trail Hawk in that it was covered in varnish, but again, easy to just scrape off. I had to sharpen it. That was easy. Just a few minutes with a file and a sharpening stone. And the main issue I had with it was that of quality control. Now, it's good now because I fixed it, but if I look down the blade, it was actually off-centered from the handle, and that's not good when you're trying to chop. So I actually removed all the wedges and everything that were in the top of the head, took the head off, and reshaped the handle up here and sat the head down a little deeper and made sure it was on there nice and straight. So again, that took a little bit of work, but it was also pretty fun, and I got to see just how well the head and the handle were attached, and I was very happy with how tight everything was and how many wedges they used, and it looked good. And then when I rehung it, I used my own wooden wedge, and I used one of the metal barrel wedges here, and I have the other as a spare just in case it loosens. But yeah, now I'm very happy with how this looks and how it feels. This only cost about $60, so again, a nice little project. I don't know what percentage of the axes they send out are, you know, misaligned with the head and the handle. All I know is that mine was, and I had to fix it. But again, I found it fun, and I can't expect an inexpensive axe such as this to be perfect when I buy it. Right. I haven't tested this out yet because I only recently got it, and because of lockdown, I can't get to the place where I normally go to chop wood. So, you know, I have it fixed up, and maybe I can play around with it with some already cut firewood, but I think I'd prefer just to wait till I can get to my cottage and chop stuff properly. So, some of you might think I'm a little crazy for spending money on something that I know is like bad, right? I am spending, for the tomahawk like $45, and for the axe $60 on something that I have to put work in to fix it up. But I see it as I'm spending a little bit of money, and I get to have fun playing with my tools for a few hours, and then I'm left with a fun tool I get to use. And I don't think that's very dissimilar to Lego. People buy Lego, they know they have to build the thing, they have fun building it, and then they're left with a toy at the end. I see it as a very similar situation. And as far as axes go, these are pretty inexpensive. If you were to buy a Grants Force Brooks axe, about the same size as the Trail Boss here, you'd be looking more at $200 Canadian last time I checked, maybe a little more. So what kind of person new to axes who wants to buy their first axe wants to spend that kind of money when they don't even know how to maintain an axe? At least with something inexpensive like this, or even something from a hardware store. I don't know about those, but something in this price range, at least you're not worried about ruining the tool while you're learning how to use it. And I think that's important. And I think a lot of people with too expensive of a tool might just chicken out and not want to touch it. They don't want to change the bevel on the blade to see what works for them. They just want to leave it the way it is. I also think that doing work on an inexpensive axe is a great way to learn how to use all the tools necessary to use axes, like a file and a sharpening stone. And if you had to do what I did and take the head off, then you really learn how axes are hung and how they work. So I personally had a lot of fun fixing these up, and I hope to use them more. The Trail Boss has a pretty thick handle, and so I want to test it out the way it is with the thick handle, and then I want to thin it out and see which I prefer. I think I'll prefer the thinner handle, but we'll see. I'll test it out, and then I'll have an opinion on that. And yeah, see you in the next video.